Let's get right into it. Number 10. Space face puff. Picture this. You go into orbit, ready to live out your best astronaut fantasy, and the first thing that happens is your face decides to cosplay as a pufferfish. That's right. The blood and fluids in your body normally hang out in your legs thanks to gravity, but once gravity takes a vacation, all that fluid rushes north. Suddenly, your legs look like a pair of sad breadsticks, and your head is carrying a gallon of extra soup. Your cheeks puff, your sinuses clog, and you start looking like the before photo in an allergy commercial. This phenomenon is called fluid shift. On Earth, gravity politely drags blood toward your feet. In space, that downward pull is gone, so your circulatory system just shrugs and lets everything float upward. Your brain, which is apparently a diva, interprets this as, wow, way too much fluid up here, and tells your body to start peeing it out. Which is why astronauts spend the first few days in space running constant bathroom marathons. Imagine being weightless and needing to sprint to a zero-gravity toilet. That's not exactly the space adventure sci-fi movies promised. But here's the kicker. While your brain thinks it's fixing a problem, it's actually dehydrating your body and lowering your blood volume. That's fine when you're floating around the ISS, but once you land back on Earth, suddenly you stand up and, surprise, you pass out like a fainting goat. Basically, space travel turns your circulatory system into that one coworker who panics and makes everything worse. Number 9, your spine but longer. Ever wanted to get taller? Forget supplements or stretching routines. Just book yourself a one-way ticket to orbit. In space, astronauts gain up to 2 inches in height. Before you celebrate, no, it's not a permanent glow-up. It's your spine falling apart like an old IKEA shelf. Here's the deal. Gravity on Earth compresses your spine all day long. The discs between your vertebrae get squished like jelly donuts under a car tire. But remove gravity, and those discs decompress, letting your spine elongate. Sounds great, right? Wrong. Because when you return to Earth, your spine remembers it actually hates you. All that stretching leads to back pain, stiffness, and an increased chance of herniated discs. Basically, space is just a medieval torture rack with extra steps. Astronauts have to do 2 hours of exercise daily just to keep their bones and muscles from disintegrating. Imagine if your gym membership suddenly became mandatory or you risk never walking again. In space, the treadmill isn't about getting beach ready. It's about making sure your skeleton doesn't rebel the moment you return to gravity. So yes, astronauts technically get taller. But it's not the walk into the room and wow your high school ex kind of taller. It's the my spine is unraveling like a Jenga tower kind. Number 8. Radiation roulette. Here on Earth, we live inside a protective bubble, the atmosphere and magnetic field, that blocks most of the nasty cosmic radiation flying around the universe. Step outside that bubble, and you're basically a flesh-based target for invisible bullets. Radiation in space is so intense that astronauts' DNA takes a beating. Cells mutate, cancer risk skyrockets, and your body basically gets a sneak preview of aging but on fast forward. Fun fact. Some astronauts have reported flashes of light in their vision even with their eyes closed. That's not imagination. It's radiation literally zipping through their eyeballs. Imagine trying to sleep and suddenly your brain goes, surprise fireworks show. Yeah, good luck with REM cycles after that. Scientists estimate that a trip to Mars could expose astronauts to as much radiation as hundreds of CT scans. That's like volunteering to be a microwave burrito with legs. NASA tries to shield against it, but you can't exactly build a spaceship out of lead without turning it into a floating anvil. So while space movies show astronauts heroically battling aliens, the real monster is your own cells quietly mutating in the background. Cosmic roulette, and the prize is an oncology appointment. Number 7. Ball Betrayal. Imagine blasting off into the cosmos, ready to gaze upon the infinite wonders of space, and then your eyeballs go, nah, let's just sabotage this. A weird thing happens to astronauts. Their vision starts to get blurry. Some even come back with permanent changes to their eyesight like they got a free pair of prescription glasses from the universe. This condition is called SANS, Spaceflight-Associated Neuroocular Syndrome. Basically, all that fluid shifting upward in zero gravity doesn't just puff up your cheeks, it also puts pressure behind your eyes. Your optic nerve starts bulging like it's trying to break free, and your eyeball changes shape. Yes, your eyeball. The one organ you really want to stay perfectly round. Suddenly, it's more like a football, and that messes with how light hits your retina. On Earth, you could just go to the optometrist and grab some new lenses. In space? Yeah, good luck. Glasses aren't exactly standard issue in the astronaut starter pack. And even if you pack some, how do you prepare for the fact that your prescription might shift halfway through the mission? What are you supposed to do? Bring in entire lens crafters along for the ride. So next time you think your screen time is wrecking your eyes, remember, at least gravity isn't turning your eyeballs into squashed grapes. Number 6. Taste Bud Mutiny. Here's a cruel twist. When you finally make it to space, food stops tasting good. Forget savoring cosmic ramen or floating M/MS in slow motion. Astronauts often report that everything tastes bland, like chewing cardboard while floating majestically over the Pacific Ocean. The reason? Once again, fluid shift. Your sinuses clog, making you feel like you've got a permanent head cold. And as anyone who's tried to eat pizza with a stuffed nose knows, flavor goes out the window. Suddenly, even your favorite snacks taste like sad cafeteria food. That's why astronauts crave spicy and strong flavors: hot sauce, curry, wasabi. Basically, if it feels like your tongue is being tasered, it's a win. One astronaut famously asked for tubes of shrimp cocktail sauce on every mission because it was the only thing that registered. Another just downed tortillas with peanut butter like it was fine dining. Tortillas, by the way, replace bread in space because crumbs float around like deadly confetti, ready to sabotage air filters and electronics. Nothing says high-tech exploration of the stars like spreading peanut butter on flatbread because crumbs are terrifying. So while Hollywood makes you think astronauts are sipping futuristic smoothies, the reality is, they're just desperately trying to taste something through their swollen, gravity-deprived sinuses. Number 5. Muscle evaporation. Imagine not working out for a few weeks and watching your muscles shrivel. Now imagine existing in space and losing muscle even when you're working out 2 hours every single day. That's the joy of microgravity. On Earth, your muscles are constantly engaged just by holding you up against gravity. But in orbit, your body decides, oh, you don't need these legs anymore. Let's just toss them. Without gravity resistance, your muscles atrophy at lightning speed. Within weeks, astronauts can lose up to 20% of their muscle mass. It's like your body just puts itself on eBay. Lightly used quads, free to a bad home. And it's not just leg day getting cancelled. The muscles in your heart also weaken, since pumping blood is way easier without gravity. Imagine your most important organ quietly skipping gym sessions because space made it lazy. To fight this, astronauts are forced into punishing daily exercise routines. Think treadmills strapped with bungee cords, weight machines powered by vacuum cylinders, and bikes bolted to the wall. Forget floating gracefully like in sci-fi movies. Space is basically Planet Fitness with a view. And the best part? After months of all this effort, you still come home weaker than a wet noodle. Congratulations, you went to space and returned as expired spaghetti. Number 4. Bone dust factory. Your skeleton is usually your most reliable roommate. It holds you up, lets you walk around, and doesn't ask for rent. But in space? Oh no. In space, your bones go full diva and start dissolving. Astronauts can lose 1% of their bone mass per month in orbit. That's like your body deciding, gravity isn't here, so why bother being solid? The condition is called spaceflight osteopenia. On Earth, every step you take puts stress on your bones, which tells your body to keep them strong. But without that constant pressure, your bones stop regenerating and start breaking down. The calcium literally leaches out into your bloodstream. So not only are your bones quietly turning to chalk dust, but your kidneys now have to filter all that extra calcium, which can lead to kidney stones. Imagine floating majestically over the Earth while screaming in pain because your skeleton sabotaged you and gave you space kidney gravel. The terrifying part is that some of this bone loss doesn't fully recover after astronauts return home. Meaning you went up into space to push humanity forward, and came back with a skeleton made of stale pretzels. Scientists are still trying to figure out long-term fixes, but so far, the only answer is lots of exercise and maybe medication that tricks your bones into thinking gravity still exists. So yeah, space turns your sturdy human frame into a sad, crumbling chalkboard. Basically, you trade being Neil Armstrong for becoming the world's most expensive osteoporosis patient. Number 3. Immune system meltdown. Normally, your immune system is the overzealous bouncer at the club, kicking out anything that looks vaguely suspicious. But in space, that bouncer gets drunk, confused, and occasionally lets the flu in wearing a fake mustache. Studies show that astronauts' immune systems weaken significantly in orbit. Their white blood cells don't respond as well, inflammation goes haywire, and here's the nightmare fuel: dormant viruses like chickenpox or herpes can reactivate. Imagine working hard to become an astronaut, and then suddenly breaking out in space zits from a virus you had as a kid. Truly heroic. Why does this happen? Stress, radiation, and microgravity all gang up to confuse the immune system. Your body is basically too busy adjusting to zero gravity to remember how to fight germs. Plus, the recycled air on a spaceship is like living in a giant airplane cabin, only for 6 months straight. If one person sneezes, congratulations, you're now patient zero of the galaxy. NASA actually worries about sending astronauts to Mars because their immune systems could get so weak that something as basic as a common cold might become a full-on boss battle. That's right, you train for years to conquer the cosmos, only to be taken out by the equivalent of toddler daycare germs. Number 2. Mental breakdown express. Let's talk about your brain. On Earth, you can always go outside, touch some grass, and pretend you're fine. In space, nope. You're trapped in a metal tube with the same few people for months, staring at the same walls, eating the same bland food, and sleeping while strapped into a bag on the wall. It's less heroic space odyssey and more college group project that never ends. Astronauts report anxiety, mood swings, depression, even hallucinations. Your circadian rhythm gets wrecked because the sun rises and sets every 90 minutes. That means your body is like, cool, 16 days just passed. Today. Good luck getting restful sleep when your brain thinks you're trapped inside a broken microwave timer. And the isolation. Brutal. There's no privacy, no escape, and if you get annoyed with your crewmates chewing noises, too bad. Murder isn't exactly mission approved. Astronauts undergo psychological screening and training. But even the most stable mind starts to unravel when the only scenery for months is slightly different angles of the same spaceship wall. So yeah, forget cosmic aliens. The real horror is your brain slowly eating itself out of boredom and stress. Basically, space travel is just a really expensive, highly monitored version of cabin fever. Number 1. Gravity withdrawal. Here's the grand finale. After months of your body adapting to life without gravity, you finally come home, and Earth feels like it's actively trying to murder you. Astronauts returning from orbit often collapse when they first stand up. Their circulatory systems forgot how to push blood upward, so when they try to walk, their brain doesn't get enough oxygen, and they just faceplant like fainting goats in spacesuits. It's called orthostatic intolerance, and it basically means your body lost the instruction manual for gravity. And that's just the start. Your muscles are weak, your bones are brittle, your immune system is confused, and your inner ear, which controls balance, is screaming like a broken GPS. Astronauts stumble around like toddlers learning to walk again. Some even report feeling like their body weighs twice as much as it did before. Spoiler, it doesn't. That's just gravity reminding them, hey buddy, I own you. Readjusting can take weeks or months with physical therapy, constant monitoring, and the occasional dramatic faint in front of very concerned doctors. And that's for people who only went to low Earth orbit. Imagine coming back from Mars after 2 years of weightlessness. You wouldn't step out of the spacecraft like a hero. You'd flop onto the ground like a wet lasagna noodle. So yeah, the human body was never meant to travel this far. Every system, bones, muscles, eyes, brain, even your dignity, revolts the second you leave Earth's hug. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.